Oh my gosh, is this working? Oh, that's good enough for me. Okay, done. Oh no, I don't want you. Alright, this is it. Welcome everyone to Whatever I Want Fridays, because it's Friday and I'm doing whatever I want and you can't stop me. Okay, so while I've been on this little recovery road for a little bit, I have some other videos on the way, by the way. So I think I just recorded... What's it? Well, because thankfully it's that one guy who pointed out that I can fly in asteroids, I re-recorded that. Let's say there's asteroids, there's Galaxian, there's Adventure, there's Pac-Man. I tried to do Defender, and I thought I had Defender somewhere, but that's not true. Frogger, Galaga, Qbert. Yeah, I got them underway. I have a couple others I need to also do. But in the meantime, because I have been... what's it? I've played a bit of Disney Infinity. So I was like, I had the urge to go back. And then I've been keeping up with some people who I haven't watched in a while, as well as actually seeing other people just making videos. Like, there's even another guy who I just watched this morning talking about like Disney Infinity, the first game. And then apparently like weeks ago he did other videos like the first Guardians of the Galaxy game you forgot, or something like that. And it's actually good. Or like the Ultimate Spider-Man game you forgot, and all that sort of stuff. Cool channel, cool videos as well. But like, I've also tried recording this twice. I recorded this maybe like 4 days ago, and that went on for 2 hours. And then I tried recording it just literally, I stopped the recording 10 minutes ago. And I'm like, I'm heading towards that 2-hour mark again. The problem with me is that I feel strongly about a lot of these characters, and Disney as an IP. Sorry, Disney as an IP. Disney as a brand. Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars, especially Marvel and Star Wars. Those two things are the reasons I even kept with this game, because they sucked me in with two things I love more than Disney and Star Wars. But yes, I want to do a tier list. And the thing about it is that you might be used to S, A, B, C, blah, blah, blah. I like it when a tier list actually kind of properly conveys what the tier justifies, or why each character is in the tier. And so for me, S for Essence is a joke, which I hope you get. And 2, it's supposed to be that without... Sorry, like, this character is indistinguishable from that brand. Even if that isn't always the case, because I'll be judging characters based off of popularity, merchandise, longevity, how memorable the character or film is, the impact on film as a whole, or even just genre, soundtracks, visuals, storytelling, and then also the gameplay in the game. When I say visuals, by the way, I could be talking about practical or special effects, so you know that Tron and Star Wars will be getting some, I don't know, special treatment to an extent, but not really special because the Tron franchise, it fails within those other categories, but oh well. Also, these top 2 tiers, they're basically the categories for where characters are unquestionably staying within the game, alright? Let's say the characters were in the game. I'd say these characters do not need to be changed. They should never be changed. And for the characters who are in this category, they also might be under the justification that they should have always been in the game. Like, spoiler alert, there's Mulan. Now, I'm grateful that she was released in 3.0 because they kept making advancements within the gameplay mechanics, especially with combat. But yeah, she is a character who deserved to be in the game from the very first game, from the get-go. The whole thing is, at least she made it into 3.0, so thankfully she's there, and she's very representative of Disney as a whole. She is indistinguishable from Disney. You hear about Mulan, you think Disney. That's just how it goes. But yep. Also, each character will be judged mainly within the context on which version of Infinity they were released on. So like, Syndrome, for example, he's not the same character in 2.0 and 3.0 that he is in 1.0. You know, even if it is just a slight change. But also is the fact that he works way better within the context and the limitations of the first game, as opposed to like the monsters, for example. Their melee attack is just a push, a shove. Like, it's very boring combat-wise, but it's boring when you think about it compared to 2.0 and 3.0, Like, oh my gosh, pause combos and finishes and extended combos and what's it? Unblockables. I almost said unbreakables. It's unbruceable. But yeah, it's like, in context with the whole series, the monsters are boring. But within the context of the first game, and furthermore, than the context of their playset, I think they're actually really, really good, and they serve their functions extremely well, especially because of the fact that these characters specifically have the technique of sneaking. So that's cool. Well, I guess I say sneaking, but the whole point is that they have like a stealth thing that they do, and that's basically the point of the characters still being well utilized. I would say, at least. But yep. I think... Is there anything else to say? Oh, I guess the whole thing is that I've sorted this list into like release order loosely. Like, you can tell that you have all the Incredibles here, then you have all the monsters and all the pirates, and that's because you get those 3 playsets, because you get Mr. Incredible, Sully, and Jack in the starter set. Oh my gosh, actually, I just realized something. I have this here, but... Can I change the name of this? In stream. How do I change the name of this? Use default overlay, close. Guys. Oh, freak me, dude. This monkey's really messing with me, too. If I do this... Yeah, it doesn't end the stream. Oh, this thing is still there. Tolerance live stream. Edits. There we go. Oh, come on. Alright. Ranking all Disney Infinity characters. Tier list. Do I want to put my name in here? Nah, screw it. Whoopsies. If I could spell from 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. For fun. Sure. Okay, I think that'll do. We cool? Yeah, that's cool. Alright. Now, was there anything else that I was supposed to say before continuing on? Oh, I guess the other thing is, yeah, if there's a character that represents a role or a niche that I think is important for their brand, like Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and they fit that role when no one else can, I think that just adds a bit of substance to them and how special they are for being in this game. Like, I'll say it. You have Phineas and Agent P, who are from Disney Channel, and they're like, I'm pretty sure they're just basically one of 2 shows that are on this whole tier list that are in the Disney Infinity collection here. Oh, and I guess, speaking of collection, I actually have every Disney Infinity figure physically because I've been playing this game since 2013, since it came out. I actually even have the Peter Pan figure, which is crazy to think about now because trying to find that figure on eBay, I cannot find it anywhere. I tried looking up this year, but back then it seemed like there was a whole plethora. It makes sense because they had nothing to do with those figures. It's just unofficially released figures. They gotta get rid of them. And they're collectibles, I guess. But yep. The other thing is... Oh, funny enough, actually, with Time, you know, the character Time from Alice Through the Looking Glass, my collection wasn't complete until this year because this character I did not care for, and I finally bought him this year. So, got him, brought him up to level 20, that's been it. But anyways, now we can move on for the list, and we're gonna start off strong because I think The Incredibles are absolutely indistinguishable from Pixar. I think they're this movie is one of Pixar's best movies of all time. All right, like it has to be like top 3. I don't know what it's like for everyone else. I don't know how they rank them, but for me, it's like WALL-E, Monsters Inc., The Incredibles, and Ratatouille are definitely up there. Toy Story 2, as in TWO, not TOO. I think I would place Toy Story 2 up there. Now, I didn't say that in any particular order. I just think those 5 are my most beloved Pixar movies when it's all said and done. I even just watched this movie the other day, and it's crazy to think that even as a kid, it didn't really give me goosebumps. I always just enjoyed the heck out of the movie. But then the scene where you have all 4 of them when they finally reunite on the Nomadison Island, and the music kicks in and the beating of the bad guys, like they strike a pose and it's just goosebumps. I didn't think I would be getting there. But yeah, The Incredibles, absolutely all 4 of them deserve to be here, and I have this category just for bad guys that I'll sort of explain a little bit when I get more bad guys into here. But Syndrome is also one of the best bad guys, or villains, that Pixar's ever done. But he gets to go here because, to me, I guess, actually I'll explain a bit now. Disney Infinity, to me, is a better game when you think about it as hanging out with, like, your friends. If you think about you as a kid watching movies or TV shows, it's basically you hanging out with your friends that don't exist. And I think Disney Infinity really works well with that strength, and that's kind of why they don't have as many villains as they do. So to me, some of the bad guys can actually be replaced with characters. Like I have the category here for rework or replaced, or should have been another character entirely. So, even if I think we could have a whole game without villains, some villains are just way too good to let go, and that's what this category is all about. But yep, moving forward. Monsters, Universities, Sully, and Mike. Now, funny thing is, even though this has the pictures of The Incredibles from The Incredibles 2, it's actually, in the context of 2013, there was only 1 movie. But for Monsters University, that was 2013, same year as the game, and the game based the figures, or the characters Sully and Mike, off of the Monsters University renditions. Now, this is the thing about Disney Infinity, where you can have a character in multiple movies that take place across different time periods for that series. And that's why I like to think of certain characters like Sully and Mike and Randall being both the version from Monsters University and Monsters Inc., even though explicitly stating that yes, the playset is Monsters University, there's no mistaking that, and these characters work in that playset. This is almost irrefutably, I mean, it basically is irrefutably the Monsters University version of those characters. I mean, you can even tell from Sully, he has no gut. Monsters Inc., he's got a gut. He's got that beer belly, buddy. And Mike Wazowski has braces. So belly and braces. No belly, but you get the braces. Done. But funny enough, I think there was a developer or someone who worked on the game who talked about Randall from Monsters University, and he mentioned some other character. So, oh, yeah, that's right. Violet was nearly on the chopping floor. Sorry, chopping block? Cutting room floor. That's what it is. Yeah, let's just combine both of those. Oh my gosh. But Randall was based off of the Monsters Inc. version because I don't think they had much information for Randy. Well, you know, Randy Boggs, because that's what he calls himself in the movie. And it's crazy because even in the movie, he's not that much of a villain. So you could justify him being here, but at the same time, if you're going off of him just in Monsters University, he's whatever. Most of what makes Randall great comes from Monsters Inc., the movie where he is the villain. And hey, if he's sort of based off his Monsters Inc. version, I gotta go with it. Another thing besides gameplay that really enhances these characters is gonna be animation, because I will tell you right now, when it comes to Cars characters and the Monsters characters, I have to say that every Cars character functions the same. All right, the gameplay it's identical. The Monsters, it's almost the same case, but what they have that the Monsters don't is animation that breathes life into these characters, man. And I'm gonna tell you, you really see the lizard-like, scaly, mischievous man in Randall's animations. It's so good. And he is the best, technically speaking, best monster in the playset because he is the only one that turns invisible. With that mechanic to sneak behind enemies, the fact that he can go invisible and still be sneaking in front of them, it's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see like Mike's comedian inside when he's scaring people. You can see the the lion that's roaring inside of Sully that comes out, which makes him one of the best scarers. It's really there. Like, again, these guys, I just love them. So gameplay-wise, they're good, especially in the context of the first game. And as movies, as characters from movies, they deserve to be up here. Monsters, Inc. is just one of Pixar's best. Now, this is the reason the 2 videos that I tried just kept going on and on, is because I could talk about these guys all day. I could go on for tangents. I'm going to have way too many tangents, I swear. Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's one of Disney's best live-action series as well. Jack Sparrow is definitely one of Disney's best characters ever, beautifully portrayed by Johnny Depp, who I think really makes this character all the more iconic, or even iconic as it is. Because without Johnny Depp, would he be as iconic? I don't think so. Oh, that was Elastico right there. Oh my gosh, that's how you know I've watched this movie too much in my life. But yeah, he's great. Gameplay-wise, he's also great. Gameplay-wise, Barbossa sucks. These 2 characters are identical, and that is so bad. Actually, they're not even completely identical, because for the differences between them, Barbossa is worse. Jack's run cycle is so Jack, but Barbossa's run cycle is so messed up. It's boring. It's whatever, man. The only thing that I like about Barbossa is that his unbreakable move, when you hold triangle, because I played this on PlayStation 3, he straight up stabs you. He's going to impale you. It's crazy, alright? You're playing with toys, but this guy's stabbing you straight through the chest and hoping it pierces right through your back. I kinda like it. But otherwise, he also makes sense as a character for being in the game. In the playset, you have Jack's crew, alright? You got Gibbs, you got the rest of them. But Bossa's nowhere to be found. And him being in that first movie, as great as he is as well, I get it, he deserves to be a figure. But gameplay-wise, he sucks, and that's why he needs rework. And if you cannot rework him, replace him. Honestly. Davy Jones is one of the greatest. I think when it comes to when it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean characters, these 2 are the greatest for sure to play as. It's just weird because you don't want to play as Davy Jones and then fight Davy Jones. It'll just make no sense. Like beating Syndrome and fighting Syndrome. Or Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where you play as Doctor Doom and you beat Doctor Doom. You can always just justify it where it's like, hey, I'm you from the future, but whatever. You are doing the wrong thing. Anyways, moving forward, Lightning McQueen. I think he is essential for Pixar's identity, especially as a brand. I think he's great. He's basically the character who reaches the younger side of Pixar's audience, especially during the time, sorry, because that's like 20 years ago. Can you believe it? This movie's like 20 years old. Yep. He's just that iconic, seriously. And to see such a concept realize, what if cars could talk? And that's the movie. Okay, done. But yeah, you go in the context of a race car, blah, blah, blah. This movie has a ton of heart. I really like this. Even I don't think it's absolutely close to any of Pixar's greatest. But what makes it better than some of the mediocre Pixar movies, yeah, basically elevates him into the good ones and basically elevates it to one I can reminisce on, is the fact that this movie has heart, which is something that a lot of movies may not have, and they still have a quality to back it up. But yep, I think it's really realized through Lightning McQueen, just as I think it's realized through Mater. Now you might be thinking, well, Mater's almost as essential as Lightning McQueen. To that I say, if you were just to have one representative of Cars, it's Lightning McQueen. You don't need Mater, you don't need anybody else. Alright, you don't need Doc Hudson, you don't need Sally, you don't need any of the Radiator Springs crews, you don't need Chick Hicks, you don't need the King. It's just Lightning McQueen, man. Lightning McQueen. That is one of the most iconic names. Lightning McQueen. Everybody knows what you're talking about when you say that name. And then there's Mater. I gotta say that Mater is here because I like when characters have friends. I like trios especially. And really it's Lightning, it's Mater, and it's Sally. But Mater here, he is the character that gives Lightning McQueen his heart, because Mater is like the most genuine character in the whole movie, and he is so great. And the fact that he is voiced in this game by Larry the Cable Guy once again, the original voice for Mater, I love it. Not every character gets their original voice actor for what they're supposed to be based off of. You know, I say that knowing that the Avengers here are based off of the Avengers Assemble cartoon. That's why you don't have Robert Downey Jr., but you crazily enough have Samuel L. Jackson. Anyways, that's it for those two characters. I have to say, because of my previous criticism of all cars basically being identical, I don't like these two. I don't like Holly because to me, she should have been Sally, so I would straight up replace her. I don't care about Cars 2, and Francesco is not memorable in the slightest. But I get it. You want to do 4 cars, right? Because you want to fill a role for Lightning McQueen. So first off, Lightning McQueen has to have a rival race car. Lightning McQueen has to have his best bud, and then you need the female token, which is sadly what Holly is. If it was Sally, you'd have the trio of friends and then a race car. And that's fine, but yeah. And then next up, Lone Ranger and Tonto. When it comes down to these guys, seriously, this is like Disney trying to promote their stuff, promote their movies, at the same time as making a game. And well, if you promote a movie before it's even out, yeah, you might be really risking it. And they risked it here, and it didn't pay off. This wasn't a good movie, and no one cares about these characters, especially after the fact. 13 years later, no one cares. These characters are nothing, man. And yeah, because of that, I think they should have been better characters. You really could have replaced them with other better people. Straight off the bat, Goofy. And that's just for one of them. But yeah, Toy Story, again, is one of those iconic Pixar franchises you just cannot do without. I mean, heck, the series that basically birthed Pixar into being the film industry juggernaut that they are. So, I really don't think there's anything left to say about them. They're really just great. Alright, Jack Skellington. So this is going to be a funny one for some people, but hear me out. This is one of those niche roles that is being fulfilled here. It's an overshadowed part of Disney. It's the stop motion section of Disney. Stop motion animated movies are pretty damn good. This one has also great music. It's great animation. It's some pretty good acting. It's a great movie. It's a nice Christmas movie. And beyond that, this character of Jack Skellington is one of the best-selling figures in the first game. So if you want to really dispute this character being in this section for all the points that I just said, I'm sorry, buddy. I might not need to buy it, but at the same time, I need to see an argument for it. But for now, I truly believe Jack Skellington is one of those that is indistinguishable from... Well, like, yeah, it's just basically part of that whole Disney identity. Indistinguishable from Disney, yeah. Alright, now, this is going to be a big hear me out moment. To me, Frozen is the modern Disney classic that basically is reminiscent of the 1940s and 50s Disney animated movies, alright? If they were to realize this like 80 years down the line and be like, we need to return to that era of Disney. This is that. I don't care how annoying you may think this movie is, and I don't even like this one compared to most other 3D animated movies that Disney did during this period, especially the period from Tangled to Zootopia. I think Frozen is actually my least favorite, but I cannot help but say that as a movie, it is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. I don't like the twist villain. I think that's the one part that sucks, but it's not like some of the Disney classic princess stories are all great all around. But man, I gotta say it, this really lines up with those Disney classics, because I'm pretty sure people are gonna look at these and say, yeah, this is the Disney classic of the modern times. And with that, even though I like these movies more, I gotta put them here. Because if Disney Infinity was being made like 10 years later, let's say this got made in 2023, I don't think many people would be missing these characters. There would be less of a need for these characters to be in here. And that's funny because I really like Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope being in here because you have a movie about video game characters, and then for the video game characters, with the video game with movie characters, you're now adding a character from a video game in a movie about video games. Did I say that right? I don't know. It's like mind-bending. It's really cool. Especially because we weren't getting like video game tie-ins for movies anymore. So this being our way of getting a like movie tie-in game with Wreck-It Ralph is pretty damn sweet. And I gotta say, it's a similar thing with Agent P and Phineas. But I don't think you would miss him if they weren't here, because I don't think a lot of people would be clamoring for, man, I want Phineas. I cannot play a Disney game unless it has Phineas in it, unless it has Agent P in it. You know, I don't think many people would be clamoring for that. But I really like the role that they filled, where they're just, this is Disney Channel. Disney Channel, brother. All right? These the representatives you get in 1.0 to say, yeah, I watched That So Raven. Yeah, I watched Even Stevens. Yeah, I watched, what's it? My Mother's Dating a Vampire? My Babysitter's a Vampire. I like that show. I don't know if that was on Disney Channel for every region. Huh. All I know is that it was a Canadian show. But I thought it was cool. But yeah. Disney Channel. I didn't even touch on the sitcoms. I love the sitcoms more than anything else. I'm a That's So Raven, Sweet Love is Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place fan. That's what I grew up on. Heck, I actually watched Girl Meets World, but that's way later. Not like way later in the fact that the show came out, and then I watched it years after it came out. I was watching the show as it went along, but just like after those other shows ended. Yeah, Girl Meets World is very far removed from all that stuff. Anyways, tangents, man. I'm gonna keep making tangents. But yep, Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey. If you were to have one version of Mickey Mouse for this game and only like one Disney classic Mickey Mouse and Friends sort of character, this is the perfect character, I think. First off, it's Fantasia's Mickey Mouse. So Fantasia is like an old movie. I don't know if it's 1940 or if it's 1945. I swear it's one of the two. And yeah, it's the era to which Walt Disney, of course, was working on Disney movies. Fantasia was phenomenal. It's very classic Disney because it's so much to do with music and animation and how they blend together, which is a key staple for Disney at the time, especially if you watch their old shorts, if you watch their old movies. The marriage between music and animation has always been so great for Disney, and Fantasia is just a great movie about that sort of stuff. And then yes, you get a Mickey Mouse who gets to have this look, which defines his modern look for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades, man. Like seriously, it's a great version of Mickey Mouse to go with. If it's not straight up classic, it's pretty damn great. Because yeah, this one, he's okay. But this one, oh, you wanted to go a little more with your representation. It's a nice one, Disney. But that's all 1.0. So now we get to go into Disney Infinity 2.0's Marvel Superheroes. And that's when we get started with the starter pack, which is Iron Man, Black Widow, and Thor, and then the rest of the Avengers. And I gotta tell you right now, again, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I have to say a couple things. I have some statements here. Again, I guess just to preface this, these two top categories means that the characters are unquestionably having to stay in the game, or they should have always been in the game. Alright, so, the original 6 Avengers for the MCU. I gotta say it, they needed to be in the game. Alright, absolutely. If you're gonna do the Avengers, you do the 6 from the movies, because that's what's hot, that's what's going around right now. But Hulk is different to the rest of them, alright? Hulk is one of those guys who just reached, like, a wider audience than the rest of the comic book characters he was surrounded by, alright? Iron Man didn't have that big a reach back in the day. Same with Black Widow, same with Thor, same with Cap, same with Hawkeye. Alright, but Hulk had it. Because, conceptually speaking, he is one of the simplest guys. Do you get angry? So does Hulk. Do you feel like breaking something? Well, Hulk breaks a lot of stuff. He's got very simple concepts that can make people feel attached to this character, and that's why I think he's really a step above, and why I always think he's had such a great far reach. Even had his TV show back in the days. Like, so how many superheroes had their own TV shows at that time? How many had a live action TV show? I'm pretty sure it was only Spider-Man at the time as well. It was Spider-Man and it was Hulk. Alright, there was no one else. They tried Captain America movies and they sucked. But that David Banner Hulk show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, oh brother. I gotta say well done. But anyways, yep, I really don't think that these characters are all too special, but at the same time, they're special enough that they need to be in here, alright? They need to be in here. And I'd be saying this as well because, like, I don't think Iron Man is as great as Hulk. Like, if you were to find the characters that purely represent Marvel and you were to have just a handful of them, first off, I think it's Spidey as Hulk and as Wolverine, and then the other two are maybe indistinct. Like, I don't know. I don't know who the other two would be. But I know as a trio, it's Spidey, Hulk, and as Wolverine for me. I don't know who number 4 and number 5 would be. I like to think of it as Captain America. Alright? Because he's always been in my top 5 favorite Marvel characters, alright? I've always had... Actually, it used to be Spider-Man, Deadpool, Captain America, Wolverine, and Hulk. And then I started reading Silver Surfer comic books, and he just shot up to number 1. Like, I think I'm done with most of you guys. I'm just gonna read Silver Surfer. But, no, truthfully, Captain America was always one of those who I found incredibly interesting. Thor as well, I think, could be great. Iron Man is kinda close, but definitely not Black Widow and definitely not Hawkeye. But they still should be great, because Black Widow is like a Russian spy. I don't like how they kind of minimize the whole Russian aspect to it. They just make a with an American accent nowadays. And then Hawkeye is not even the circus act turned criminal turned Avenger. He's just a SHIELD agent. Like, okay, that's great. But still, these guys deserve to be in the game. It's just that when it comes down to it, I think these two are the most Marvel, most relatable characters in all of Marvel, man. That there's just no reaching. And then you have Falcon. I don't think anyone would miss him, man. The thing about Falcon is that even the game doesn't miss him. So you see, you have the Avengers playset. And Falcon isn't even in a single cutscene. You have 6 Avengers, by the way. And you have Loki, and then you have MODOK. And then you have Nick Fury, Captain Marvel, and Wasp. Alright, your villains, your additional heroes. But for playable characters, Falcon is nowhere to be seen. No one gives a damn about this guy. But I think he deserves to be here because he fills a role that there really isn't enough of in this game. That's fine with me. If you want, you can think of him as being like the sidekick, because you don't really get a lot of sidekicks. You don't have War Machine in here. And truthfully, you don't get a lot of black characters in any of the Disney Infinity games. So he's cool. Although if I wanted to say it, I would replace him with like Power Man, because you have Iron Fist and you don't have Luke Cage. It's really messed up for me. Alright, and then I'm gonna put Loki here. Hear me out, alright? Loki, rework or replace. His gameplay sucks. Alright? Here is the God of Mischief. An absolute magician that just outranks a lot of people in Asgard, alright? In this game, he's just a guy with a staff. Range attack. Staff shoots like energy. Staff shoots energy. Melee. Staff stabs people. Great, that's really the God of Mischief right there. That is so magical. That is so not Loki. He needs to be reworked, and if you cannot rework him, you replace him. I'm sorry, Loki. You deserve to be in this game. You just deserve the better gameplay. Alright, Nova, Iron Fist. And this is the funny thing now, because we just had the Avengers Assembles character, and these characters are based off like the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. But I like what they represent for Marvel here, because what you have is like your ace heroes, your team, and then you have your crossovers. Because the other thing is, when you have a crossover with some of these characters all the time, it becomes less special. But when you have characters who are just unusually teaming up with other characters, like what's Nova doing with Hulk? What's Iron Fist doing with Spider-Man? It's like, it's cool. And I feel like that's the Marvel 2-in-1, the Marvel team-up that we get in this. Because Nova's a solo hero. Iron Fist is usually with Luke Cage, and there's no Luke Cage here, sadly. But yep. Even without the context of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, where Spidey, Nova, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and White Tiger were in a team of 5, because they had, like, joined S.H.I.E.L.D. And so Nick Fury is making Spider-Man the Ultimate Spider-Man by having him join this team. Without that context, it's just cool. Nova is so different to Iron Fist. Iron Fist is so different to Thor, so on and so forth. They're just cool crossover characters, man. Which is why it's always cool to have Iron Man next to Thor, next to Cap. A soldier from World War II, a god from all the way back when who's thousands of years old. A current day billionaire tech genius who made his own robotic suit to beat up bad guys. A guy with anger problems. A spider guy. And yep, cosmic police. And a monk. Almost. But yep. Next up, Nick Fury. If if Nick Fury wasn't a playable character, I don't think I would miss him. The fact that he's voiced by Luke Cage. What am I saying? I have Luke Cage on the brain so much. If he wasn't voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, I don't think I would care as much. But the fact that he is, it's really cool. But he's also an NPC in the Avengers playset, so you know, you're just kind of doubling up there. I don't know if it's more expensive or if part of the whole thing was so that Samuel L. Jackson could have a figure of himself, to which he does. If he does, I wonder if he actually has it with him. Like if he ever looks at it again thinking, yeah, man, I got my own damn figure. What you think? Like, it's just, he just loves the fact that he's got one. Because it's really cool knowing that he just does movies he wants to see himself in. Like, all right, man, you just go pick your movie to act in. Sheesh, everyone's going to want you anyways. You're Samuel L. freaking Jackson, dude. But yep. As a character, you already have Black Widow, you already have Hawkeye. I don't want too many, like, human guys amongst the superhero lineup, you know? But I like Nick Fury. I really do. Venom. I'm going to put him up here. He could go into bad guy, but for the context of the playset, he actually isn't the bad guy. Green Goblin is the bad guy. Venom's just a guy who gets wronged by Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus, so he teams up with Spidey, Nova, Iron Fist, and Nick Fury as basically like that gray villain. Sorry, that gray area character who's not exactly a villain. It's really cool because you don't get like gray area characters here. But he's that one. He's that one. And he's also cool. He's like one of the best-selling... Oh my gosh, pardon me. He's one of the best-selling Disney Infinity figures. Like, seriously. He's just the rule of cool for, like, most of the roster. He's incredible. And Guardians of the Galaxy. You're gonna have to hear me out for this one. This is the same issue that I had with the movie tie-ins. The promotion that came out, which... could backfire, and you're lucky that this didn't backfire. You're pretty lucky that this movie is as great as it is. Because I think you're going to have to look at least one Guardians of the Galaxy movie in the MCU and say, yeah, that's one of the best. Like, at least one of the 3 movies has to be one of the best for somebody's list. If it's the first movie, if it's the third movie, or for whatever reason, if it's the second movie. I think it's more likely to see the first or the third movie, but yep. This could have been bad. If it was a bad movie, who would care? Who would care, honestly? And because this is also an era where people were more in love with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, again, if we had characters to replace them with that were just as good, like a Wolverine, a Cyclops, the Thing, something like that, you know, we wouldn't miss them because we'd have something good to replace them. But as it is, them being in the game, I like it. Alright. And then there's Yondu. I just hate this character. This is my most hated character in all of Disney Infinity. He doesn't deserve to be here at all. He's an NPC in the playset, so he gives you missions. He's a team-up power disc, so you can just place him under this Peter Quill, and then all of a sudden you get to have a Star-Lord Yondu team-up. Or he's a figure. Alright, one of those things are wasted. Either he shouldn't have been... No, actually, you know what? Even if the NPC thing was gotten rid of, the fact that he can be a Marvel Team-Up Power Disc and a figure is so stupid. He should not have... One of those needs to go. Either he could be a figure, but the team-up is for someone else, like Luke Cage, or you just don't make a figure out of him, because who cares about Yondu? Man, I really hope he was one of like the worst-selling figures. Again, in the context of the first game, which came out in 2014, which is the same year as the first movie, because if you think about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where the Yondu character was boosted up and actually is better, you know, remove that fact, and it's just the Yondu from the first movie, who cares, man? Especially when you're like, more likely to just love these guys and want to hang out with them. You just want the 5 Guardians. You don't care about Yondu. People probably don't even care about Ronan either. Now I get it, Ronan being in here is like, oh yeah, he's just... the villain of the playset. Everyone gets to have a like playable villain. But nope. This guy's just bad. This guy is like... There's a couple points against him. You have the Toy Story playset. We had Zurg. Wow, he has a fully functional model in the game. You fight him at the end of the playset, and yet... he isn't a figure. And you don't miss him because you have Woody, Buzz, Jesse, and you're completely fine with that. Yeah. That's one argument against Ronan. Okay, how about the Lone Ranger? It's just them two characters, you know? You need basically the bare minimum and you'll be okay. There's no need for a villain. So there's no need for Ronin. Anything else? I guess it really is the fact that, like, yeah, you can just go with, like, the bare essentials. And I swear, you'll be fine. Because, again, I see this game as being a nice game to just hang out with your friends, basically. You don't need a villain that nobody cares about. And again, maybe he could have been cooler if he's just reworked. But, I don't know, man. I think we could have saved this slot for something else. I think, ultimately, he should have been another character. I get it, though. You could have kept him in the same way that we're keeping Green Goblin, the same way that we're keeping Loki. Hopefully, if he can be reworked. But, yep. It's gonna stop. Alright. 2.0. I was going on and on. Donald Duck. Absolutely. Merida. She's gonna go in here. I wouldn't miss her, but she's okay. I actually think she's a great character to play as, but I haven't watched the movie, so I don't really have that much of an attachment. And even though I only watched maybe like the first 30 minutes to 60 minutes, it actually seems like an okay start. But I never really felt hooked to finishing it. And the trailers that I've watched over the years have never really hooked me. But again, I think other people who have watched this movie may have a better opinion. But yep, I think she's okay. I just wouldn't miss her if she wasn't here. I think that it's cool that she's here because they did Hawkeye, and it's like, yeah, they're doing a character with a bow and arrow. Let's do another character with a bow and arrow while we have the resources. So it's a great marriage right there. I have to say that her existence is justified. I just don't know if I would miss her if she wasn't there, because there's other great Pixar characters to choose from. And moving on, we have Stitch. I think he's great. Again, popularity, merchandise, I think he's right up there. Maybe not one of the greatest Disney movies. I think it's one of Disney's greats, but definitely not in that upper echelon. But still, Stitch is great. Lilo and Stitch is great. Absolutely deserves a spot. Here's the funny thing. If you want to quickly know what my rankings are for the video games, Disney Infinity 2.0 is actually my least favorite, and yet it has my most favorite characters in the game. And that includes Stitch. Also Donald. And Spidey, and Hulk, and Cap, and Thor, and Iron Man, and Nova, and Iron Fist, and Venom, blah blah blah. Anyways, Maleficent. So I'm gonna put this here and say, I'm gonna justify this, right? I'm gonna justify this. If anything, she can be almost essential. Oh, maybe she should be. I mean, to be fair, right? If you did Sleeping Beauty, would you rather have Aurora, or do you want Maleficent? Yeah, you do Maleficent. That's how it goes. I mean, heck, they put Maleficent in Fortnite. I'll just go with that. Look, okay, so same deal with Sully. Same thing with Mike. Maleficent can represent two versions of the very character that she is. One, it can be the old 1950 movie, or maybe it's like 51. Maybe it's 1951. Maybe that's when Sleeping Beauty came out. I forgot the year. But yeah, it came out in the 50s. And the Maleficent figure can be that Maleficent. Or Maleficent here can be the 2014 live-action remake. Either way, there is a link to classic Disney right there. And I really appreciate that link, because if we're going to have another movie tie-in promotion, as well as a classic Disney character, I think this is another nice, happy marriage between those two ideas. So yes, at least we got a Maleficent, man. It's just a shame if you don't like the look of Angelina Jolie's Maleficent, oh well. But we got a Maleficent. And they gave us a power disc for compensation. So, I'll take the win where I can, especially because we don't get a lot of classic Disney, because a lot of it is just movie tie-in, movie tie-in, movie tie-in, movie tie-in, movie tie-in, movie tie-in, movie tie-in. It's all there, man. Alright, Tinkerbell. I think she's another classic, just another classic. If you cannot do Peter Pan, Tinkerbell is the next character you go with from that movie. Seriously, it's so great. They picked a great option, you know? And especially for a girl, because I don't have that many girls compared to boys. It's like, yes, great, let's go Tinkerbell. And she has a great figure as well. And she's also iconic for like sometimes being part of the whole Disney Castle intro. where she's the pixie dust that flies over the whole castle. Like, yeah. And she's also in like those DVD introductions. I'm not sure how many people would know about that here if they're watching this video, but yep. Tinkerbell's a great choice. All right, Big Hero 6. This is close to another perfect... This is probably actually the most perfect marriage between movie promotion and then the whole everything else that's going on right now. You see, Disney acquired Marvel back in 2009 or 2010. I think it was 2009. So yep, Disney owned Marvel ever since then. And yep, move forward in time. Disney decides that they're going to look into the catalog of Marvel characters, maybe Marvel IPs. And then they find Big Hero 6. And then Disney decides that they're going to make a movie for Disney Animation based off of that Marvel IP that they own. So for Disney Infinity 2.0, where you introduce Marvel characters, this is one of the best happy marriages ever. And gameplay-wise, they're really cool, because Baymax and Hero have this really cool... I don't know what you call it. I don't want to say it's a function, because I can say function all over again, but Baymax can carry Hero, and Baymax just still flies normally, because like Hero will just go on Baymax's back, just like in the movie. It's niche. It's neat. You won't do it often, especially if you're playing solo, you won't do it at all. But it's cool. Alright. But yeah, happy marriage between Disney and Marvel and the perfect game where it's Disney introducing Marvel. It's so neat. Alright, Aladdin. And Jasmine. I think this is irrefutable, dude. This is like Disney's Renaissance era. Ooh, let me categorize it. It's like, well, release order, by the way. Release order. Yep, Disney's Renaissance era. We needed a representative from then, and we have none until these two come in. Well, until Aladdin came in, because Jasmine came out later. But yep, finally. And I love this movie as well. This is like top 5 for me, but Disney animation. 2D animation, I should say. And that's Disney Infinity 2.0. So now moving on to 3.0, we get to start off with the starter pack for 3.0, which is the Clone Wars stuff. Star Wars. Okay, now hear me out, alright? I'm going to justify Anakin when I justify Darth Vader later. So, Anakin, again, top 2 categories. Characters who unquestionably need to actually be in the game. Anakin deserves to be in the game, but is he part of the essence? Well, I don't think this version of Anakin is, like, part of, I guess, Lucasfilm's essence, with the Star Wars essence, you know? Same thing with Ahsoka, because to me, I think you really need to focus on the original trilogy, and then you can extend that with the prequel trilogy. But the Clone Wars is a bit niche in the fact that it's a TV show, so it didn't have as wide an appeal as those original 6 movies. And again, this is within the context of 2015. So for Ahsoka, even though this image is based off of her Rebels counterpart, she's still niche, but she's still not that important to Star Wars. She's definitely important enough to actually, like, unquestionably be a character, but she's not that necessary. Not like an Obi-Wan who just changed how people based characters off of Merlin. He is like the ultimate Merlin character in modern movies. I say modern even though A New Hope came out 20 years ago. 20 years ago? What the hell am I saying? 50 years ago, brother. Yeah, but Obi-Wan, even in the Clone Wars, he's really great. But yeah, as it is with Star Wars as an identity, there is no Star Wars without Obi-Wan. There is a time where there was a Star Wars without Ahsoka, and a Star Wars without this Anakin. But Star Wars without Obi-Wan cannot be done. Same thing with Yoda. There cannot be Star Wars without Yoda. And it's the same thing when I go for the original trilogy characters. Seriously, like, these characters really make up everything great about Star Wars. The best friend trio. It's so great. Chewbacca, one of the coolest, various mascots, non-human mascots for a movie as well. Darth Vader, one of the best villains in cinema history. Yoda's one of the greatest puppeteering achievements in film history, especially up until that point. That, like, these characters are all just so great. Luke is like the ultimate hero, dude. Which is why it sucks when they didn't make him a hero anymore. But anyways, going back to Clone Wars, even though it's a picture of Darth Maul from Rebels, bad guy. So we'll get back to this later. We have Ezra from Star Wars Rebels, and even though I enjoyed the first 2 seasons, I only watched the first 2 seasons and like the last episode. Actually, you know what? I watched half of season 3, but yep. These 4 characters, they don't have a playset, and that's kind of the reason why I think if we didn't have them, I don't think people would miss them. It's funny because when I watched the show, I was thinking, yeah, you can just tell from the design, they were made to be working in Disney Infinity. They were made so they could have figures in Disney Infinity. You can just tell from these pictures, they don't look too, like the figures don't look too far off from how they look in the show. But yep. Except Zeb, he has way more details, I think. But yep, if they weren't in the game, I don't think people would miss him. Like, I think you can have a Star Wars game and go a very long time without doing any of the Rebels characters. And then there's Boba Fett. I'm going to put him in here. I think he's cool. He may be in the niche but deserved, but he's ultimately a bad guy, so he may be replaceable, but I still think he's sick. Alright, next up, Mickey Mouse. Again, this is irrefutable. How are you going to do Disney without Mickey, Minnie, and Donald, you know? And then, for the whole Renaissance era that we have for Disney, Mulan rounds it out. It's crazy to think we only have like 2 movies from the Renaissance era of Disney, but still, this is such a great pick.
Big recording?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, better yet, I'm live streaming because this video I've tried twice, and then it's like, I don't want to edit 2 hours of a video. But what's up?
I was just gonna say, you can say hi to Leah quickly.
To who?
Leah. Leah.
Hi, Leo. Oh, hi, Tana. Oh, you're in a robe. Oh, I'm good. You?
No, he's in his room. He's like recording games at the moment. Okay, I'll let you be.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry about the phone call. That was funny. What was I up to? What did I just do? Oh, Mulan. That's right. Yeah. She deserved to be in that game. I'm so happy. Like, she should have been in the game from the get-go, but the fact that she was in 3.0 meant she got the upgrades of combat. So, should have been there from the get-go, but at least she got the upgrades. Alright, Tron. This is basically what this category is for. Sam, Flynn, and Korra, they deserve to be in the game. The only thing is, it's niche because Tron serves that cult status. Because the Tron franchise, even with the 3rd movie that we had recently, it's not that great of a franchise. The first movie wasn't that great. The second movie was, the first movie's okay. The second movie's okay. And the 3rd movie is okay. And yet they made a trilogy out of something that's just okay. But to be fair, Tron Legacy, which is what these characters are from, is a movie that has like one of the best soundtracks in all of cinema history. It is crazy. At the same time, I like that this live-action Disney property is way different to the other ones because you have Maleficent, a live-action remake of a 2D animated movie from back in the day. You have Pirates of the Caribbean, a movie based off a Disney-themed, what's it? Disney theme park ride? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I don't know. There's no Disney theme park like in Australia, so I wouldn't know, man. But I'm pretty sure it's a Disney theme park ride, yes. But Tron, even though this is Tron Legacy and it's actually a sequel to a movie, so it's not wholly original, this is actually like wholly original in the fact that there is nothing that predates the original movie. Like, this is purely live action. There's nothing else to it. But yes, this movie aesthetically is beautiful. This movie with the music is beautiful. It's like every rewatch of this movie, I love it more. I just wish, that it was better, dude. It's really an undercooked movie. But the first 2 were fun. Third one is fun sometimes too. Alright, Olaf. I'm actually gonna put Olaf here. But like, that's just because I like trios. Maybe we could have gotten away with the fact that we didn't need Olaf after all this time, but the fact that they actually made Olaf 2 games later, I think says something to how much, 1, this character sold, 2, how much this character was wanted, and 3, the popularity of this character and the staying power of the Frozen movie. So yeah, I gotta give it to him. As much as I think Anna and Elsa from Frozen are like almost the essence of Disney, especially modern Disney, man, they really are. Funny enough, I'm not having this ordered in like ranking. Like, yeah, Anna's like top of A and Ahsoka's bottom of A. Oh, that's funny because they're both their names start with A. But this is only the order of like Disney and then Pixar and then Marvel and Star Wars. But like still, these two characters, that they almost deserve to be up here. They really do. I think it's just me trying to abstain from recency bias, basically. So yeah. But that's also a thing about some of these movies. I'm sorry, some of these characters being introduced because they're just movie tie-ins, so they can get that money, even if they're risking it being a bad movie that they shouldn't have to tie into. But oh well. Moving on, we have Inside Out. Now, this is another one of those movie tie-ins, and I'm actually going to put it here. They're deserved, alright? They deserve to be in that spot because the movie actually ended up being great. And it was a true return to form for Pixar, even though I don't think it was as great as everyone else was saying. Because I still think these other Pixar movies up here are better than Inside Out. But this movie, just like Cars, actually this might be a better movie than Cars. I need to rewatch this. This movie had heart. It's crazy to think about Bing Bong, of all things, if you remember him. Like, that's a heartfelt moment. And so for this movie to have it, pretty good. I like that Pixar can still pull off those moments. Actually, you know what? I don't know if this is better than Cars. Again, I need to rewatch this movie. But anyways, they are deserved of their spots. Deserve it of their spots? Deserve it or deserved? Oh well. But yep. The only drawback to me is that if this movie was bad, they would not be accepted, okay? That's the whole thing. I think a lot of Disney Infinity's strength comes off of what's established. Alright? Because we're building off of Disney's beloved IPs. So that's why I can't really give that many points to Inside Out. It was still too fresh, it was still too new, and if it was bad, it would just be like Spot from The Good Dinosaur, where no one cares. You should have been another character. We could have replaced you with someone who was better or more deserving of a figure. But yeah, The Good Dinosaur wasn't that great of a movie, but the power discs were cool. You could have kept the power discs, just change Spot for someone else. Arlo was the main character of The Good Dinosaur, and that would have been cool. Alright, and next up, because this is November of 2015, I'm pretty sure, because 3.0 came out in August. I'm gonna have to bundle this up with you guys. Alright, so here we have variations of existing characters, basically. Now, functionally speaking, they're still very different, but they're still sort of the same. So we already had variations when it came to the Crystal characters with Crystal variants. Like Mr. Incredible had one, Sorcerer's Princess Mickey had one, Buzz had one, Sully had one, Jack Sparrow had one, the Cursed Lone Ranger had one. But for these three characters, they're cool because they play differently and they play with the 3.0 enhanced mechanics, especially the combat advancements. So that's why I find Hulkbuster actually to be more fun than Iron Man, Captain America the First Avenger to be more fun than original Captain America, but if we kept going down this line, trust me, people wouldn't like having so many variants. You're just taking away spots from other characters we could have had. Like, where's our Wolverine? Where's our Simba? Where's our Belle from Beauty and the Beast, you know? Where's our Wally? Instead, we're still catering. Like, we could have been up to Thor Ragnarok, and it's like, why are we getting another Thor? You know, why are we getting another bunch of these guys? It's like, it's not that fun at that point. But I gotta give it to him. Gameplay-wise, I really like these. But at the same time, if you're gonna do 4.0 and you're gonna update a lot of existing characters and their movesets, then the way that Black Suit Spidey moves could have been the way that Spider-Man would have moved. The way that this Captain America moves could have been the way that this Captain America moves. I'll give it to Hulkbuster. You know? This is a blend of Iron Man and Hulk that can only be done with a whole different figure. But at the same time, that you need to do it. Maybe not. Now, I say all that, but these are like some of my favorite 3.0 Marvel characters to play as. And I'd rather play them than the 2.0 ones, seriously. He's so fun to just smash around. I think I love how responsive he is. And then you have your web pool. And then you actually have additional animation for swinging. And then you're just so much cooler in every way. You take advantage of everything the Star Wars characters got. Like, you can just block... You can deflect bullets. You can deflect lasers. Like, you can deflect everything that's being shot at you. And then you can get the upgrade so that he's just going to do it while running. So everything in front of him, even if you're not holding the block button, he's just going to block it with his shield. It's so cool. So you can just run forward with Captain America and he's going to block everything that's in his way. It's so cool. And yep, the pause combos. He has some sick pause combos, man. This Captain America is so fun to play. And then we got Ultron. I'm going to put him in bad guy. Oh, wait, I'll put him... There we go, Marvel. There we go. Yeah. I think Ultron's a really good character to play as. He's another fun one. And he has a broken ranged attack. And he has a very cool special... Or super move, I should say. Because he just summons other Ultron bots. And then... They are some of the most devastating AI friends, I guess. Because you have other, like, super moves where it's like, oh, I summon a friend and they help out. But the Ultron bots, oh man, they are so good. And him as a playable character, oh man, those... Again, it's the advancements they made in 3.0, all those upgrades to the combat system, and he just gets it. And he's so good, man. Alright, next up. Sorry, but... Oh, wait, I gotta move you guys over. Oh my gosh, Merida, what are you doing all the way over there? Alright, I don't care about that order. Now we're up to The Force Awakens. And, again, this is one of those movie tie-in promotions, and I gotta say it. If we would have waited another year, I don't think people would be missing this too much. And if this was a bad movie, it'd be down here with The Lone Ranger. But, if it's as good as these, well then I gotta put it here. Truthfully speaking, I think I gotta put him here. Because I think at the time of 2015, actually, oh crap. It's so hard to tell. Actually, I'm putting him down here. Yeah, I'm putting him down here. Nope, it's Finn and Rey. I gotta say it. Gameplay-wise, they're pretty underwhelming. That's why I ultimately put them here. As characters being chosen for this game, they make a ton of sense, man. And to be a Star Wars fan in 2015 with all that hype behind The Force Awakens, it was a magical time. Now, even if it wasn't the greatest Star Wars movie, it was a safe one. And because it was safe, it was okay. It was actually okay. It was actually acceptable. It got people going to, like, the theaters to be like, I guess Star Wars is back. Like, that's cool. That's maybe the bare minimum of what you needed to achieve. That's the other thing. That's the bare minimum, and that's why maybe people may have some confusing thoughts nowadays. But back then, it was something very, very great to achieve. And for that, I gotta say, you know, it's okay that they're in the game. But yeah, gameplay-wise, I went back to Rey, and I actually don't like how she plays. Finn's great, though. And then Poe's just lazily put together. He's a mix of, like, Sabine, and Princess Leia, and Han Solo. It kind of sucks. And then we also have the whole, well, we already have an X-Wing pilot in Luke Skywalker because of his costume change, which now is redundant and even made more stupid. He should have had his Return of the Jedi outfit, man, honestly. That or his Bespin one. I wanted an outfit for Luke where he's actually like the guy who trained with Yoda. But no, we just have him and then his X-Wing outfit. And neither of those are the time after he trained with Yoda. But yep, X-Wing pilot here, X-Wing pilot there. But yeah, Poe's so lazily put together. But Kylo Ren's actually really cool. Especially for a lightsaber user. He might be one of the better ones. But as it is for The Force Awakens, if it was a bad movie, be like, why'd you even bother? But because it's a movie tie-in, and the risk kind of paid off, they're okay. But again, functionally speaking, gameplay-wise, Alright. And now we're back to movie tie-ins, where I'm thinking, what's the point? Yep, same thing with you guys. I think this is just a bit of overkill with the movie tie-ins. But I'll give it to him. really insane to get Jason Bateman to voice a character in a video game, so that's sick. Whoops. But gameplay-wise, I don't see what really was the necessity to bring them in. The necessity is really just movie promotion, but gameplay-wise, they almost offer nothing. I really think, yeah, as video game characters, they are whatever. They had like almost bottom of this whole tier, if I had this in order, but yeah. Alright, moving forward. Blue is absolutely necessary. I love his addition into the game because this means two things, and this is actually the reverse of Maleficent. Old classic Disney character with the new movie on the way, because we had the Jungle Book live-action remake coming in 2016, but they chose to do the original animated version, which is also the last animated movie that Walt Disney worked on. So it's a very nice touch to have this Baloo of all guys. And yeah, just recently rewatching the Jungle Book, it's so great to see him and hear him and just have this whole attitude inside the game again. Oh man, I love Baloo. Alright, Alice. Okay, so this is going to be the same thing as Maleficent. I'm happy to have like a character based off of a classic Disney in here. The fact that it's live action may put this below for some other people, but I love Alice in Wonderland, as in the original movie. That's 1950, yeah, that's 1950. I think Sleeping Beauty is 1951. Oh, in that case, haha. But yeah, Alice deserves a spot, man. But for live action Alice, I almost don't care. But she's a nice substitute. I gotta give her that. So she reflects both the live action remake and the animation. Same thing with Maleficent. But for Mad Hatter and Time, go away. Time, whatever. Oh my gosh, no, don't pin. I am doing everything wrong right now. Go away. What was I up to? Time. I haven't watched Through the Looking Glass, but it's the same thing that I would say about enemies. If you could just get away with one, like how we just got away with Baloo, right? We could have just had Alice, I swear. But they wanted to do Time, and I think that's a waste of a character. And then you have Mad Hatter, and he's okay. I think the big problem with Mad Hatter is he's a character pushed because he's played by Johnny Depp, who at the time was very, very beloved. Again, he's a great actor, but he's pushed forward because of that. If you look at the original Alice in Wonderland animated movie that Disney did, he's barely in the movie. He's cool, just like some other people, but he's not that necessary if you want to represent that movie. I think at that point, all you need is Alice. He's okay. I like that he's here. Especially because it's the third Johnny Depp character in this game. But ultimately, if he wasn't here, I don't think people would miss him. Alright. Oh, I just realized we finished our last Star Wars characters, yeah. And also our last Pixar characters with Spot. Yep, that's done. Oh, we ended on a blunder, dude. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle you guys over. Like, I'm gonna do Pixar and then Disney. Alright. And then we have Black Panther. This, to me, is in league with Nova and Iron Fist, honestly. So diverse when it comes to character powers, and that adds to the variety of Marvel superheroes as a whole, as well as the fact that we don't have a lot of kings. There's Thor, but he's like a prince. Black Panther is a king. Alright, so that's just sick, as well as the fact that you got a guy with claws, because we don't got a guy with claws. And he's a master martial artist, so there's that with Iron Fist as well. But a whole suit of armor. A guy based off of an animal, because we don't have other guys based off of animals here. Nope. It's just Black Panther. He's one of the coolest. And his gameplay helps. And then there's Ant-Man. I kind of have to put him here. Gameplay-wise, he's a bit underwhelming. It's funny to think that Alice is a better Ant-Man than Ant-Man, because Alice here can shrink and grow. Ant-Man can just grow, and if he shrinks, it's just midway through the combo, which means you don't get to utilize his superpower, which is just a shame. They somehow made it work with Alice, the whole eat me, drink me thing. Great. But for him, Ant-Man and Giant Man? Nope. it ultimately makes for an okay character, but it's also really strange how they represent him in the game. Like, he can jump insanely high for no reason. He can stick to walls for no reason. Like, okay. He's just an underwhelming character to play as. And then there's Vision. I think I'm going to put him up here. He has a broken ranged attack, and I think, again, he just fits the variety that these other characters do. These are the one-offs. An android built by a villain who joins the superhero teams. Like, come on, this is like one of the coolest. He's built for destruction. He's built for evil doing, and then he just comes out as a computer, logically speaking, for the existence of humans and fighting for their protection. It's so cool. Vision is one of the coolest characters here. But yep, Ant-Man just couldn't live up to that. And then we have these two. And I gotta tell you, we're ending pretty strong. No, Nemo first, Nemo first. First off, second off, this Finding Nemo is probably one of Pixar's best movies ever. I did not mean for that burp, sorry. I don't really care about the whole Finding Dory thing, but again, if you just want to have these characters to represent Finding Nemo and or Finding Dory, trust me, they work both ways, and to just have Nemo at all is great. And it makes me really think about the fact that they could have added characters who just aren't bipedal, you know? People who don't walk around on 2 feet. Like, we actually have swimming characters. This is proof that we could have had Ariel from the get-go. And this is why I gotta say, that's everything. And at the same token, talking about Ariel and who can we replace, what these little categories are gonna be for. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters that we could possibly replace. And to that I say, well, I know that Holly was going to be Sally, that's what I would want. But otherwise, if I were to replace these other characters with any potential characters that didn't make it into Disney Infinity at all, I can tell you straight up. Actually, well, I can tell you that Peter Pan was already going to be made a figure, so forget about Peter Pan. Moving on, I don't think Goofy was ever planned to be a figure. So Goofy can replace one of them. And I'm telling you right now, Cinderella should have been one of them. Absolutely. You want to talk about movie tie-ins? Cinderella had her live-action remake in 2015. That should have been it. And we could have actually had a Disney princess from the classic era of Disney animated movies. Like, come on, you did Baloo for the Jungle Book. You should have done Cinderella. But oh well, we don't want to do Disney princesses. I guess maybe gameplay-wise, it wouldn't have been as fulfilling, wouldn't have been satisfying. But seriously, just to have one of those Disney princesses from back in the 40s, 30s, and 50s, should have done it. Also, if they worked out how to do Nemo, yep, so Ariel's one of them, but if they learned how to do, like, non-human characters, I really hope that they were still working a way to figure out how to do Simba. Also, another character that I think should have been in the game and somehow just wasn't, Frozone. I think he would have been great to have, and I think it would have been even better and even cooler. Okay, I didn't mean for that pun, but like just to have Frozone and then having Nick Fury, dude. It's like the whole Johnny Depp thing again with Mad Hatter and Jack Sparrow and Tonto. But yep, Frozone. He's like, he doesn't even have a toy in the game so that you can like have him walking around in your city. You get Gazer Beam, you get Dynaguy, but you don't get Frozone. It's like they were saving him. Oh, like he was on the cutting room floor and then, yep, they just couldn't do it because they couldn't do him right or they couldn't do him at the right time. But it's a shame. Frozone should have totally been in the game, man. Especially because you have the Incredibles with these 4 figures plus Syndrome. And then you have the Avengers, which had 8 figures in the playset. Wait, what's it? So you have, yep, you have the 6. Then you have Loki, then you have Falcon. All right, that's 8. And then you have the 2 crossover characters in Nova and Rocket Raccoon. So that's 10 characters. Like, come on. You could have probably done Frozone, especially if you're doing freaking Tonto and Lone Ranger. Just swap them out. Man. And again, why would you need 4 cars when all the cars play like identical to each other? Let's replace one with Frozone, dude. We almost had it. But yeah, let's say Sally, Frozone, Goofy, Cinderella, Simba. There's still 3 characters left. I feel like it's crazy to think, because like scale-wise, right? Tinkerbell should not be as big or bigger than Donald Duck. Alright? Nemo shouldn't be like the same size as Stitch. Dory shouldn't even be bigger than Stitch. Look at Dory's size compared to like Hulk, man. But yet, I think that means we could have probably had Remy from Ratatouille if we really wanted to. I don't think rats would sell as a toy that well, but it's an idea. There's also Wall-E, there's Eve, there's Kermit the Frog. So you have no Muppets representation, except with a couple power discs and some toys that you can have roaming around in your toy box. And then there's Miss Piggy, and I think that would be it. You would just do Kermit, then you would do Miss Piggy, and that's it for the Muppets. I swear that's gotta be it. And then there's Indiana Jones, because you're doing LucasArts. Oh, sorry, you're doing Lucasfilm. You might as well just throw Indiana Jones in there. I remember seeing like mock-ups people did for an Indiana Jones figure and how that would look. And it was a great idea, but they never did it. I think that would have been neat. I think it would have been really cool. There's also Cruella de Vil, who is a great representation of 101 Dalmatians, because you wouldn't do the dogs. But if you want to have some love for your villains, you can do Cruella for sure. I think Winnie the Pooh would have also been cool. Oh, you know what? I just realized. I'm pretty sure 2016, if not 2016, it was 2017. They did Beauty and the Beast, the live-action remake that had Emma Watson in it. And that would have been a great way to get Belle and the Beast into Disney Infinity as well. Otherwise, lastly, the only other person I'd want to go for is Hercules. That's really it. In terms of other Marvel characters, I'm pretty sure that Disney Infinity did everything that they could possibly do. They actually covered every basis, because with every character that was introduced in the MCU, trying to follow the MCU, and add characters that were being introduced in the MCU, they did everything they possibly can. Trust me, like, everything they possibly can. Because they did the Guardians, they did the Avengers, they did other solo heroes. They were on top of Doctor Strange. They had a figure, basically, well, not like a physical figure, but they did have a digital rendition of it. And then moving forward, Ant-Man had his movie, they did that. Vision was in 2 movies, they did that. Black Panther was being introduced in a movie, they did that. Hulkbuster was in a movie, they did that. Ultron was in a movie, they did that. Doctor Strange, yep. And then what else was happening in 2017? We had Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which had Mantis, it had Ego the Living Planet. We had... which they don't have to do that, because there is just Guardians of the Galaxy. You also have Spider-Man Homecoming, which maybe they would have wanted to do another Spider-Man playset. I don't know, I hope not. And then Thor Ragnarok, to which apparently they would have done something there. Just like how they would have done something with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. But yep. There's a lot of tie-ins, and Disney would have absolutely kept up with them, but man, when it came to the classics, I think that's part of the problem with Infinity, is their identity when it came to trying to represent classic Disney and the lineups that made Disney, as well as being just a movie promotion piece, which it devolved to a lot of the times. I like the first game because it's not completely that. Like, you have The Incredibles, which got some love just out of nowhere. They didn't know they were going to do a second movie. You have Monsters University to also show the love for Monsters Inc. They had Toy Story because they did Toy Story 3, honestly, so I gotta give them that. Just like how they did Cars 2, the video games, they had to do that. But then yeah. So there's like 6 playsets, and 4 of them are Pixar, and 2 of them are live-action Disney ones. So they didn't do any animated Disney projects for 1.0, which is crazy. That's where you could have maybe had Aladdin if you wanted to do Aladdin, or where you could have done Frozen, maybe? I say animated, but I really mean 2D animated. I wasn't thinking 3D animated, but hey, you do what you want. But yep, anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. This is my tier list for Disney Infinity characters, all from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. And again, this, I think, is everything that when you say these characters' names, you think Disney, you think Pixar, you think Marvel, you think Star Wars. And these two categories are very close. You know, these guys are almost there. I think, again, you could probably argue for the MCU Avengers being up here, but because it's the MCU Avengers and not just the Avengers Assemble cartoon and the comics, I gotta say, you're not thinking of them, and that's why I gotta put them down here. But yeah, seriously, these top two categories unquestionably have characters that should be in the game. At any point where they could have been in the game, they should have been in the game. At any point where they should stay in the game, or you take them out, they stay in the game. The bad guys here, to which I'll get into now, if you never wanted to do bad guys and you just wanted to replace them with heroes because you just want to hang out with friends, these are the guys who would be very hard to argue about, because these are great villains that justify their existence in the game. They're very cool. And if you had to get rid of them, okay. But they're pretty good characters to play as. Niche but deserved. I swear these guys, they deserve a spot in the game. It's just, it was a bit risky. But I'm glad because they actually do deserve this spot. Seriously, they deserve this spot in the game, and I'm glad that they're in the game no matter what. These guys, if the game was made during a different time, if the game was made with a different context, if it was made under different limitations, and you replace these characters with people like other characters that were maybe just as good if not better, I don't think you'd be missing a whole bunch of these guys. As well as the fact that some of these are just movie tie-ins. So if the movies failed, trust me, you wouldn't be thinking twice about why they were in the game. You just wish they weren't. But because they were successful, it's okay, and it's a risk that played out. But at the same time, you know, make a game like Disney Infinity, but 10 years after the fact that they actually did in real life, maybe you wouldn't want to do Tangled from the get-go. Maybe you wouldn't want to do Wreck-It Ralph from the get-go. Maybe you wouldn't want to do Zootopia from the get-go. Maybe you wouldn't want to do a Disney Channel representative. Oh my gosh, why'd I hesitate at that? Representative at that point. Oh, to which, by the way, I mentioned that there were two Disney Channel representatives. There's Phineas, there's Agent P from Phineas and Ferb, and then you have Star Wars Rebels. So that's very cool. But then the other thing I guess you could say is you have Disney Toons, because you have Donald Duck, and there is the whole DuckTales thing. So yeah, that's just a very neat plot that Donald Duck represents, as well as like the whole Mickey Mouse and Friends plot. Then yep, I'd say Loki and Barbossa are characters that deserve to be in this game, but gameplay wise they suck hard. And then these characters just, I think they should have just been replaced. Outright, they just needed to be replaced. These are my least favorite characters gameplay wise. I don't really care about them. In terms of pop culture, I don't really care about them. Their impact, I don't see much. Wow, yeah, actually pop culture, thinking about it, they really didn't make much of an impact. Except for Yondu, and that's because of the second movie. That was 3 years after this figure was made. So yeah. Well, that's it. And if anyone's been watching this, for all you Disney Infinity fans, it's cool to see how long the game just lives on with all you guys. And for all the fans of this channel, I understand this is very different to what you might think, but I'm just doing this just for fun. Because, yeah, I just like doing different things every now and then. And like I said, this is Whatever I Want Fridays, so I'm doing whatever I want, and you can't say nothing about it. Well, anyways, I'll see you guys later in the next one, for whatever video game I might be playing. But yep, see you guys.